Hello and welcome back to the another episode of Daily News Analysis for UPSC 2025. It is 15th July today and we are going to discuss 8 important articles which were in your Hindu newspaper. So before we start our discussion, I would like to introduce this channel to you guys. Every day we upload two videos, one in the day session and another in the evening or night session. In the day session, which is this video, we discuss the current news analysis from the Hindu newspaper and take up the most important articles which are mentioned there, and crack those articles down in the most simplest language. And in the evening session, we would take up the daily quiz in which we would discuss 10 to 15 questions which are related to the current affairs and the previous year question papers. So, without any delay, I would like to request you guys, please do subscribe to this channel. When you subscribe, it gives us the motivation to work more hard on it and to provide you with the best information available. So let's start our today's discussion by looking at the topics which we have to discuss today. First article, it is about the political assassination. You might had heard about the assassination attempt on Trump. It is about that. Then after we would discuss about the CBI, its role and why West Bengal and Center is fighting over it. Then we would discuss about the scientific research and development in India and what are the focus areas. Then we will discuss about the Jagannath temple, some little information which is required regarding the Jagannath temple. After that, we will discuss the old southern Silk route. Then after that, we will discuss the indigenous seed tradition. After that, the consumer rights, and then the palimpsest. So these are the articles which we are going to discuss. Let's start by our article. It is about the political leader's assassination. You might have heard about the news of the Trump, the assassination attempt on him. You know, we had seen various assassination attempts on the political leaders, especially in US. From 1833, I guess, till 2024, there had been 15 assassination attempts on the presidents of the US, and four of them had been killed. The four sitting presidents have been killed. So, with this regard, we would see that despite the security which is provided in the U.S., the values which U.S. highlights, and still after all that these things are happening there, what could be the reason? We don't have to discuss it in the context of the Trump, but we have to discuss this security criteria in India and what are the you know assassination attempts in India and who is the security provider in to the top leaders in India. So हमने देखा what we saw last yesterday that there was an assassination attempt on Trump. We say he was targeted, and we had seen how in history we had seen various assassination attacks on Trump. What could be the reason? हम देखेंगे the gun culture in USA. That is the one of the reason. The political turmoil we had seen when Trump lost his election. He refused to accept the defeat, and his followers जो थे, they attacked the capital of US. So we can see that the political instability can lead to these assassination attempts. We had seen how you know how the US they are highlighting their democratic values. They are saying that they are the most successful democracy, and they are highlighting these values, but still they are not able to cope up with these assassination attempts. So leaving it there, what happened in US stays in US. Now let's come to the Indian perspective. Let's discuss the security which we provide to our top leaders. First, we should know that in in India, we had seen various assassination attempts, or we had seen various successful assassinations done to the top political leaders. For example, if we name the Mahatma Gandhi's assassination in 1948 because of the political differences, Then we had seen the Indira Gandhi's assassination in 1984. When her policies regarding the Operation Blue Star to liberate Golden Temple from the Khalistani terrorists, and regarding that she was killed because there was some disrespect happened to the Golden Temple, which is the highest pilgrimage place for the Sikh community. So her own bodyguards fired on her and killed her. And also we had seen another assassination of her son Rajiv Gandhi. He was the he was the former prime minister then, because he was ready to contest the election, and it was मतलब कि दिख रहा था कि he was going to be the next PM, and he was assassinated by the LTTE suicide bomber. Why he was assassinated? Because he sworn to wipe out LTTE, and he was assassinated for that in the outskirts of Chennai when he was campaigning for the election. So with this regard, it is very important to understand the history of the security which we provide to our top leaders. Right now, if we see the present condition, who is the sole security provider? It is the SPG who provide the sole security to the top political leaders, which are especially to PM and his family members. It is Special Protection Group, SPG. Now let us see how we came to the SPG, how it was brought in, and what were the early security providers. First, prior to 1981, the security was handled by Delhi Police, and with the Delhi Police, a task force was helping them. A special task force with Delhi Police will work to provide the security. Reforms were introduced after it. Then special task force to first it was only Delhi Police who was giving the security to the top leaders. Then the reforms were added, and the special task force to provide the security with the Delhi Police. Later, when after the assassination of Miss Indira Gandhi, it was the need of the time that there is some holes in our security to the top leaders. So the Birbal Nath committee was introduced, and it was constituted by the Ministry of Home Affairs, and they recommended the special political group to provide the special security to the top leaders or to the PMs of the country and their family. So this special protection group, it is placed under the cabinet secretariat. It reports to the PM and PMO. About then in 1988, this special protection group act was framed. It had only one mandate, that was to protect the current PM and his family. That is why in early 90s, the Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated. He was the former. He has resigned from the post of the PM, so he became the former PM. And because of that, the special protection group, they were not providing the security to the Rajiv Gandhi, but it was the other judge security was given to him. So that led to the assassination of Rajiv Gandhi. Then there was another need of the amendment to the SPG. After 1991, it was changed again, and it was extended to the former PMs and their family at least for 10 years. After 10 years, they will see whether what is the condition of the security, what is the condition of the threat. If the threat has reduced, then they may remove the security or they may increase the security. But in 2019, the Modi government, they brought another amendment to this act, and in this act, this special protection group, it will give security to the PM and his family only, and also to the former PM and their family only, but only for the 5 years. And it will give security to the family members also if they are residing in the official residence of the former PM. So this is the history of the special protection group, and little history of the political leaders assassination in India and US, how we can compare it. So if we would try to recap this, try to summarize this topic in simple words, we had seen assassination attempts of Trump. It could lead a question in our in our prelims or mains, what are the who is the security provided to the top leaders or PM. So in this regard, we discussed about what was the condition before. We discussed about the assassination of our leaders in India. For example, we discussed about Mahatma Gandhi's assassination. Then we discussed about Indira Gandhi's. Then we discussed about Rajiv Gandhi's assassination. We discussed about first it was the Delhi police, then the special task force was added to them, then it came to the Birbalnath committee which recommended the SPG. Then first SPG was only given to the PM and his family. Then after the assassination of Rajiv Gandhi, it was extended to the former PMs and their families also. And in finally in 2019, it was reduced again to the PM and his family, and also to the former PM and their family, but only for 5 years. And to the family of the former PM, it will be given only if they are residing in the official residence of former PM. So this was it. Now let's move towards the next. It is about the CBI. Here we have to discuss about the legal battle which is going on between the West Bengal and the center, because West Bengal is blaming center that they are using CBI against them, and CBI they are without any official consent from the state they are working in West Bengal. So this is the background to it, and let us discuss about it. There is a legal battle between government of West Bengal and central government. West Bengal they challenged the extension of CBI in Supreme Court under Article 131. After that we saw that central government that point, well, central government ने वापस क्या बताया कि the CBI is an independent agency, and if it exercises jurisdiction then center is not responsible for that. But the SC it मतलब SC ने center की इस claim को down किया. The SC rejected it, and they said that everything CBI does or appointments there are in CBI, it is controlled by it is under the executive control of the center. So it is not the final decision of the Supreme Court. There would be more discussion on it. So before that, what the Supreme Court will give, that is the अभी उसके लिए टाइम है जब सुप्रीम कोर्ट अपना फाइनल जजमेंट देगा, एंड वी विल टेक इट अगेन. बट राइट नाउ वी वुड डिस्कस अबाउट द हिस्ट्री ऑफ CBI. We should know that it is a elite law enforcement agency at the center. It has the powers to arrest, file charge sheet, and secure punishment. Initially a special police establishment was introduced by British Indian government. It was introduced as a special police establishment against the corruption in war and supply department during the World War II. But after the World War II ended, it was transferred to the special, it was transferred from war and supply department to the home department. This special police establishment after World War II, it was transferred by the then British government from war and supply department to the home department. So it came under the home department. And after the independence, it came under the we took it under the our after independence in the Indian government, our constitution took it. We not our It is not the constitutional post, but we took it in 1963. It was renamed as CBI primary mandate to check the corruption in government. Its main primary mandate was to check the government. In 1963 it was renamed as CBI. Since then it has been always in the center of controversy. Earlier it looked at corruption cases only, and it was very much efficient, but later it went outside its domain, and it went for the other cases also, like it took the murder cases, it took the terrorist cases and all that. So because of that, taking different approaches, its efficiency was compromised. For example, we would if there is any famous politicized case, then and this the police and the state police was not efficiently dealing with that, then this case was given to the CBI. And this CBI, it was largely backed by the government. It is said it is used the government used it for their own benefits. The ruling party used it for its own benefits, and we had seen Supreme Court calling it as a caged parrot. It only says that what its owner says. And also we had seen in history it has messed up many cases and had been inefficient. Ideally it should be under the home ministry, but it is under DOPT because it reports to the PM and comes under direct control of the PM. So it is not under home ministry now, it is under the DOPT and it reports to the PM. What is the consent for investigation for the CBI? CBI does not have automatic jurisdiction in states because of the federal structure of the country. We have seen in the 7th schedule, we have police and law and order. It is in the state list. It requires the consent of states. So it does not apply to the if there are some corruption at the center, then center level, then CBI will without any uh, consent it would work. But for the states, it has to take the consent of the states. And also in the consent we have two kinds of consents. One is the general consent, which is for across all the cases. Many states give this general consent to the CBI, and we had seen many states, because they give this general consent to CBI, and they had seen that CBI is working on the orders of the ruling party. So they fear the integrity, they fear the federal structure would be harmed. So for that they had withdrawn this general consent. And there is another type of consent which is called the specific consent. It is specific to case basis. From case to case they give consent to the CBI. So this was about the CBI. We had understood a little history about it. It was started in the colonial era. It was a special enforcement agency, or we can say law enforcement special police establishment. It was to check the corruption in war and supply department. Then it was transferred to the home department in 1963. It was renamed as CBI. Primarily its mandate was to check the corruption, but by time it widened its approach and went to the other cases. Because of that, its जब इसका workload बढ़ गया, its efficiency was compromised, and it does come direct under the direct control of the center. So it is मतलब कि इसका वो reputation नहीं रहा है. It is said that, as SC had already said, that it is like a caged parrot. So it does say what the master says. Finally, we had discussed about the consent for investigation. We had seen CBI does not have automatic jurisdiction in states because of the federal structure of the country. Police, law and enforcement are in the state list, and for that it requires the consent of the state. And also we had seen two types of consent: general consent and specific consent. In general consent, they can interfere in any case, but many states had withdrawn that because they fear that it has been used by the center. And specific consent is from case to case based. So this was about the CBI. Right now, why it is in the discussion? Because of the legal battle going on between West Bengal and center, and SC has not given yet the final statement. We would see what the SC says in the future. Now coming to the third topic of today's discussion, it talks about the scientific research and development in India. We have to discuss about what are the focus areas of scientific research and development from the last 1 or 2 decades. What has been the focused area? What are the challenges to it? How is the investment going on? And let us see. The major challenge to the research and development in India is the investment from the private sector. Our total investment with the money we spend in it is only 1.1% of the GDP we spent on R&D. And also private investment is very less. It is only the public investment, which is majority is the public investment which is going on in R&D. And we have seen number of research papers brought out and patents brought out by India are also less as compared to other countries. But still, if we would compare our research and development with other countries, we are in the top 10 because of the recent developments we have done, recent achievements we have achieved. And the most important thing which we should know, that what are the focus areas what are the focus areas which had been from 2004 to 23. There are some focus areas on which we had brought many research papers, and we had published many patents. We had gained many patents, and there we had our major research focus areas had been nanofluids. We had working on wireless cellular networks, cellular nanoparticles, coronavirus vaccination, and zinc oxide. These are some areas our where we are focused majorly on these areas, and we had gained most of the patents and research. We had published most of the research papers on these topics. Also, if we would compare it with the US and the China, we could see that the US and the China, they are leading in the research and development. If we would see the trends from 2019 to 23, what from 2019 to 23, what are the focus areas? We could see that coronavirus vaccine had been our focus area, nanoparticles had been our focus area, cellular nanoparticles, photocatalysts, and deep learning. These have had been our focus areas. So what is required here, that if the private investment would be increased in here, so that it would help us in increasing the GDP investment in the R&D. If we would compare it to the other countries, for example US, China, the private investment in there is very huge. That's why that is why we are lacking behind them. So with this, we move to the another important article. First, let us see what we understood. What are the focus areas which we should know? It is nanofluids. We should know about nanofluids. It is wireless cellular networks. It is cellular nanoparticles. It is coronavirus vaccination and zinc oxide. These five topics are the main focus, or we can say major focus uh, of research and development. The another article of today's discussion, it talks about the Jagannath temple in Puri. It is the historical temple on the coastal Orissa. It is dedicated to the Lord Jagannath, and it is the part of the Char Dham Yatra, which is Char Dham Yatra, four pilgrimage sites in India, four major pilgrimage sites in India. It is built in the Kalinga architecture, and also the Nagara architecture is seen here. It was built by the King Anantavarman, and there it is famous for the annual Ratha Yatra, or the Chariot festival. So this is the brief knowledge about the Jagannath Puri temple. I'm sure there are many historical places would come in the news, and I would request, if I was at your place, I would, from right now, I would start to make a separate notebook for these cultural based questions, so that at the end, when your exams would be near next year, you would look at this and put your major focus on these for your cultural part. For your history and culture, you would focus on these temples or these things related to the history only, and it would be enough for you to prepare your cultural history part. Coming to the another topic, it is about the southern Silk Route. And why it was in news, because the Botanical Survey of India, they have conducted survey in the southern Silk Route. It is the route which existed before the famous Silk Route, which connected China to Afghanistan. Here the southern Silk Route, why we had seen there was a it connected the northeastern India with China via Myanmar. We had seen how we traded through this route, and not only we trade, our trade was going on between this route, between the Himalayas, or we can say between this route, but also we had exchanged ideologies, we had exchanged religious thoughts, we had exchanged culture, we had exchanged many things through this route. So this route is very important. We should understand it goes through the northeast India. It connects northeast India to China via Myanmar. This is about the southern Silk Route. This much is enough for you to understand this basic concept, and we need to know all these all our neighbors very well, and how we used to trade with them. So it would be enough for you to understand the topic. Now moving to the next article, which is it talks about the indigenous tribal seed festival. You know, in the it talks about the indigenous knowledge of the indigenous people about the seeds in the tri-junction of Rajasthan, Gujarat, and MP, how they have this this knowledge about the seeds, how they intensively had uh, understood these seeds, and they had understood when to sow, when to harvest, and what seeds to use when. So these seeds, the knowledge they have about, they are these seeds are drought free, they are climate resistant, and they have the knowledge about the crop diversification. We can use, we can use this knowledge of the traditional indigenous tribal population of this seed, of this indigenous seeds. We can use this knowledge, and by time when the conditions won't be suitable, we can use this information to cultivate crops without any problem or without any loss. So this was about the indigenous tribal tradition, the tri-junction of Rajasthan, Gujarat, and MP, how their knowledge about the seeds and when to sow them, the qualities of these seeds, drought freeness, climate resistant qualities, and the crop diversification. Let's come to the next article. It talks about the consumer rights. Department of Consumer Affairs, they have decided to amend legal metrology rules 2011. It is focused on the packaging of the commodities, which are sold to the retail consumers. If they were earlier, if they were small packages, then the information was given on, it was published there. But if they were the bulk packages, the information was not given there. But if the information was not given on the bulk packages, then what happened that it affected the consumer rights information, so that they were not able to understand it. But when it has been amended now, and this information has to be published on the bulk packages also, which are about 25 kg. They are called the bulk packages. They have to publish it there. But there are some restrictions, some exemptions are there. For example, if the industry is buying, then these bulk packages don't need to write this information or don't need to publish the all the producers, मतलब कि वो सारा information publish करने का जरूरत नहीं है then. So it is very simple article. The Department of Consumer Affairs, they have decided to amend legal metrology rules 2011. उसमें क्या था कि जो ये बल्क पैकेज पे उस पे ये नहीं दिखाया जाता था, information was not given there. But if the information was not given, it affected the consumer rights. Now they had amended it, the information would be given on the bulk packages also. But if this bulk package, there are some exemptions. If it is for industries or agricultural purpose, then there is no need of writing this information. So this was about the consumer rights related to the metrology rules 2011. Now coming to the last article, it is about the palimpsest. Historically, what it talks about, we should know that historically people used to write on parchment papers. What are these parchment papers? They are made they were made these papers were made up of the untanned animal skin. It was very much precious, and they cannot afford money such untanned skin. So what they used to do, they would write and erase that, then again write and erase that. बट एक चीज़ इसमें रहती थी कि जब वो इरेज करते थे, इट डिड नॉट कम्प्लीटली इरेज, वहाँ पे अंडर रिटर्न रहता था, मतलब कि इंफॉर्मेशन रहती थी. राइट नाउ मनी, मतलब जो अब के हिस्टोरियंस है और जो आर्कियोलॉजिस्ट है, दे हैड डिस्कवर्ड दीज parchment papers, and they had seen the underwritten information, and they had tracked the history very well. और मनी, मतलब कि बहुत सारे हिस्ट्री के दरवाजे खुले हैं, बहुत सारी इंफॉर्मेशन खुली है हिस्टोरियन के पास. सो दिस इज द बेसिक कंसेप्ट अबाउट द palimpsest, एंड दिस इज व्हाट, मतलब कि वो जो अंडर रिटन रहता था, टू ट्रैक दैट. दिस इज about the palimpsest and the idea behind it, how it could be useful for द हिस्टोरियंस। वो उनको ट्रैक करते थे और जो नीचे लिखा गया था, लिखाई के नीचे लिखाई, उसको पढ़े और इंफॉर्मेशन गेन करे हाउ द हिस्ट्री लुकड और व्हाट वायर द चेंजेस विच मतलब जो आज तक हुए हैं। So this was about today's discussion. These were very simple topics, nothing much important about them. Few important topics were, for example, CBI and the assassination in the US and other country, US and the assassination attempts in India. So this is what we discussed today. Let's recap what we discussed in a proper way. First, we discussed that Trump survives assassination attempt. We had seen in this, we discussed how many assassination attempts had happened in US, how many leaders had been killed there. Then we discussed it in comparison with India, where there were majorly 3 main political leaders had been assassinated. For example, Mahatma Gandhi. Then we discussed about Indira Gandhi, then Rajiv Gandhi. We discussed about who used to give the security and what were the amendments made to that. Then we discussed about the CBI. We discussed about the CBI, its jurisdiction, the legal battle between the West Bengal and the center. We discussed about how SC Supreme Court called CBI as the caged parrot. We discussed about its jurisdiction. We discussed about the consent for investigation. We discussed about general consent and the specific consent. Then after we took up another topic. It was related to the scientific research and development in India. We discussed what is the top focus areas of research, for example, nanofluids, wireless cellular networks, cellular nanoparticles, coronavirus, zinc oxide. Then after that, we discussed why there is lack of investment from the private sector in it. And our GDP spending is 1.1% of the GDP on research and development. After that, we discussed about the Jagannath temple in Puri, historic temple coastal Orissa, dedicated to Jagannath, which is the form of Lord Vishnu. Also, then after that we discussed about the southern Silk Route, which connects northeast to the China via Myanmar. We discussed about the indigenous tribal tradition of seed festival, how on the tri-junction of Rajasthan, Gujarat, and Madhya Pradesh, the tribal people there, they had this knowledge of seeds. They had saved this knowledge of seeds, and this knowledge they have. They are very much well versed about seed knowledge and how to sow them, how they are seed, how they are drought, how to make them drought resistant and climate resistant, how to do the crop diversification. After that, we discussed about the consumer rights. We discussed about the amendment of legal metrology rules of 2011. We discussed about the focus on the packaged commodities that are sold to the retail customers. After that, we discussed about the palimpsest, the historical, which is this topic. Historically, people used to write on parchment paper, which is the untanned animal skin. It was very precious for them. They cannot afford money, so that they used to erase and rewrite. That the already written there remained the underwritten information, and it is very much useful for the historians to track the history of that time. So with this, we conclude our today's discussion. I hope you liked this video. I hope I did not made it difficult for you guys. Please stay with me, do subscribe the channel, and share it with your friends. Thank you very much. And do stay with me for the night session, in which we will discuss the daily quiz session.